Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mental Performance Mastery with Coach David. Hope you're doing great on today. And I am super excited about being here with you and being able to share something with you that I think is going to help you and take you to a new height. So go ahead and shout yourself out wherever you may be. And also let someone else know that Coach David is on and he's going to bring us something that's going to help us. Today, I'm going to jump into something a little new, and I think it's going to help you tremendously. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it will. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about stop making them pay. In other words, what I'm going to be talking about on today, I'm going to be talking about mistakes, accountability, repair, and then how to move forward. Now, I'll share with you right now that this is going to take a couple of weeks to get through, but I promise you that it will be well worth the wait if you will stay with me, participate, and cooperate with me. We're going to get something done that's going to impact and change your life tremendously. Because the truth of the matter is, for me, is that I understand that sometimes we can continue to live with things, mistakes, slips, things we omitted. We can continue to live with that on and on and on and never, ever really get away from it. Well, I don't want that for you. I want to help you with that on today, and I want to help you walk away from it. So I will definitely be giving you something on today. So today, our first one that we're going to talk about the sentence. Okay. In other words, we're going to stop serving time for a mistake that you've already made. Now, listen, think about this for a minute. You made the mistake. You admitted it, owned it, I like to call it. You admitted it. You apologized for it. You learn from it, and you even change your behavior because of it. So now my question becomes, why are you still serving the sentence for something that you've gone all the way through? What has occurred? You become the judge, the jury, the executioner, and the prison guard of your very own life. And every time you start to progress forward, every time you start feeling good about yourself and you start moving again and everything, that thing creeps up in your mind. Oh, yeah. But remember when you said this? Remember when you did that? Remember when you behaved like that? Remember what you did? Well, today I'm going to do something for you, and I think it's going to help you tremendously. I am going to teach you how to make a mistake without allowing the mistake to make you. I'm going to say that again. How to make a mistake without the mistake making you. And I think that's going to be something that'll take you a long, long way in your life because it's going to help you to grow and to develop into another area that you really need to grow and develop into. So let's jump into it. Number one, what you got to learn to do is separate the mistake from your identity. In other words, what I want to share with you, you need to start saying I did instead of I am. Many times in life, we'll make a mistake. And when we make the mistake, then we make that mistake our identity. In other words, let's say, for instance, I overspent. I spent money that I shouldn't have spent, and I overspent. And instead of just saying, hey, look, I did this, I'm a bad financial manager. I cannot handle my finances. I am just not good at finances. Notice the difference between I did and I am. See, when you made a bad decision, that doesn't mean that you are the bad decision. I hope you understand what I'm saying with that. That doesn't mean that you are the bad decision. What's the difference? Well, when I say I did, that describes my behavior. In other words, I did this. I behaved in this manner. When I said I am, that now goes into my identity. And let me say this right here. Any mistake is not the evidence of who you are. We make mistakes all the time. What we need to learn to do is to describe what happened without turning it into this is who I am or this is who you are. We got to get beyond that because what we'll do, we'll start making the mistake our identity. When you make the mistake your identity, what eventually ends up happening, you become that. And so you can never progress forward. You can never get out of it. Don't use one moment as evidence of your entire life. Things happen in your life. So you can allow one mistake, one slip up, one incident to become the evidence of this is who I am. So what I got to learn to do, I got to learn how to work through that in such a way that I don't allow that to happen. Now I'm going to give you some danger language right here. This right here is very critical. Because if you're one of those persons who said, I always do this, for instance, I always mess up my money. I never can get it right. Every time, every single time I mess this up. Well, that's just who I am. I'm going to say it again. Don't allow one event to become a character assessment. In other words, stop using that type of language, because here's what I learned a long time ago. No one, never, and always. In other words, what I'm saying is that's just not life. Now, we may take that on to be life, but that is just not life. Let me see if I can paint an example for you. Let's say, for instance, you come home from work one day, you're exhausted, you're tired, you've been stressed at work and everything, and your child keeps calling your name, daddy, 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 daddy. And you look at this and everything and say, okay, calm down. And here we goes again, daddy, 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 daddy. And you snap at your child. You snap, hey, knock it off. Okay. Now let's ask ourselves a question. Does that mean I'm a terrible parent or a tired parent that handled a situation badly? That's the difference between this becoming your identity and this becoming an event. In other words, I snapped at my child. My child did not deserve to be snapped at, but that doesn't make me a terrible parent. What that makes me is a tired parent that didn't handle the situation correctly, or I handled it poorly. So what do I need to do? I need to understand, apologize, and figure out a way to handle it differently the next time. See, what we do and what the world will do, the world will continue to punish you, and you'll continue to do it to yourself if you're not careful. You have to be able to look at this and say, this is an event. This is not who I am. And because of that, I can get a different event the next time around. I will not allow my identity to become the event, and I will not allow the event to become my identity. So here's what I got to do. I got to hold myself accountable, but accountability is not punishment. Oh no, accountability is not punishment. See, what you need when you hold yourself accountable, what you have to do is like, okay, what changes do I need to make? See, what do I need to address here? What do I need to correct here? What do I need to fix here? Punishment, on the other hand, says, how badly can I feel about this? Or how badly should I feel? So stop punishing yourself. Start changing your behavior. That's where you want to go to. And accountability is not punishment. Accountability is exactly that. I'm holding myself accountable, but accountability also means I'm going to take a look at this. Think about an accountant. An accountant takes a look at the finances to make sure the finances are correct. And if they are not correct, then the accountant now has to make adjustments to get them correct. That's the same way it is in your life. In accountability in your life, look, all you're doing is taking a look at your life and say, these are the adjustments that I need to make. I don't need to punish myself. So what does accountability look like? If I am going to hold myself accountable, what does that look like? Well, number one, let's just go back to the parent situation. Number one, I'm going to own it. In other words, I'm going to look at myself and I'm going to say, hey, I made a mistake. I'm not a mistake. I made a mistake. I handled this incorrectly. So then what am I going to do after that? Well, that's the first step. Own it. Number two, I am going to repair it. What do you mean? I'm going to get with my child. I'm going to explain to them that, hey, that was wrong on my part, that I didn't handle it correctly, that I need to fix it. Now, you can work this in any area of your life. I'm just giving it to you. So one, I've owned it. Two, I repaired it. Next, I am going to learn from it. What do you mean? I am going to learn that when I am tired, that is probably not the best time for me to be dealing with my child. So I need to put some things in there. I need to put some boundaries in there. I need to put some steps in there to ensure that I handle it correctly. I can remember many a days when my children were smaller that I was tired and I didn't feel like it. So what I would do, I would ask my children to give me a moment, to give me some time, to give me an opportunity to decompress. I try to do it on the drive from my workplace to my home because I didn't want to bring work home with me from all the stresses of the day, because I understood something, that I had the potential to express that on other people. So what I did, I set up some steps and some boundaries. One of the things I did when I left the job, I took my uniform off. Why? Because that was signs to me or signals to me that, hey, this is over with. Then I put the other clothes on. I still do that today. I take the uniform off and I put the other clothes on. Why? It's a signal that that part of my day is over. I'm moving forward. Now, the next thing I did, I would ask my children to give me time, to give me space to decompress before I dealt with them. You have to learn how to handle that. That's what accountability looks like. Stop using suffering as payment. In other words, you can regret the mistake without living inside of the mistake. You understand what I'm saying? You can make a mistake. Listen, I got news for you. You're going to make some mistakes in life. Whether you accept that or not, it's going to happen. But here's what I got to do. I can't continue to live inside the mistake. I can't continue to let the mistake dictate to my life. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do, I'm going to look at this and say it's a mistake. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to repair it. I'm going to make change in behavior and set up steps and boundaries so that this doesn't happen again. So here's the next part. You got to collect the lesson, but you got to close the case. Remember what I said from the very beginning? I said this is called the sentence. Stop serving time for a mistake you've already made. So you got to learn how to close the case. In other words, I reflect upon it, but I don't ruminate in it. I don't have time for that. 3 questions I ask myself. Number 1, what happened? That's the facts of the matter. I think about, okay, this is what happened. And sometimes you got to get away from it all. You got to sit down and you have to do this assessment for yourself. 3 questions is all you need. What happened? These are the facts of what happened. Okay, number 2, what did this teach me? Because see, mistakes reveal something that needs to be taught. When you make a mistake, that's just revealing, hey, I need to learn something from this. I need to take something from this. I need to fix this. That's what it's doing. Then number 3, what am I going to do differently next time? In other words, my performance now needs to change. My behavior now needs to change. So what I need to do, I need to understand how I'm going to go through that process. Number 1, what happened? Number 2, what's it teaching me? Number 3, what am I going to do differently? Let me give you an example. Let's say, for instance, I'm late to work. Okay. And the reason why I'm late to work, I need to ask myself a question. What happened? Well, I slept right through my alarm. Okay. I slept right through. That's what really happened. Okay. Well, what did this teach me? This taught me that I need to have 2 alarms. Okay, I need to have 1 alarm right there on the nightstand, but I need to have another alarm across the room. Why do I need that? That's a rule I set up in my life because I understand this right here. If I have this alarm right here and I hit snooze or I sleep through it, that other alarm across the room is going to force me to get up out of the bed to turn that alarm on. Now, when I get up out of the bed, I got to stay out of the bed so I can continue to move forward. So what I do, I turn a mistake into a rule. My rule, I'll have 2 alarms. So that is the way you do that. But I want you to think about this. I said you got to close the case. Collect the lesson, but close the case. Now I want you to think about this. In a courtroom, when you come into a courtroom and there's a case before the judge or before a jury, the case is heard, evidence is presented, both sides get their opportunity and everything. Then after that, there's a judgment made. Then there's restitution made, but the case is closed. In other words, what I'm doing, the lesson has been learned. My behavior has changed. Case closed. I don't need to keep punishing myself. Now, I'm talking about just you right now. We ain't even talked about other people yet. We're going to get there, but I'm talking about you. So the next time you make a mistake, this is what I want you to do. Don't immediately ask, what's wrong with me? Don't ask that question because now you're trying to, once again, you're making that your identity. You need to ask this right here. What event? What actually happened here? But that is a earth-shattering thing when you ask just that question. What actually happened? Okay? What part of this belongs to me? That's the owning. The event, now I'm going to own it. What part of this belongs to me? And listen, you have got to do this in such a way that you can be honest with yourself, because if you cannot be honest with yourself, you won't be honest with anybody else. What part did I play in this? What part of this belongs to me? Then number 3, I've got to repair it. What do I need to correct? Maybe I need to apologize. Maybe I need to set some boundaries up in my life. But when I repair it, what do I need to correct? What can I correct? What can I get right? And then number 4, just release it. You've done those things. What do I need to stop carrying? I'm not going to keep carrying this. I'm not going to keep living this. I'm not going to become this. Listen to me and listen closely as I begin to wrap this up for you on today. You are going to make mistakes. You're human. It's going to happen. If you haven't made a mistake yet, keep living. You are going to make mistakes. So the goal is not to become someone who does not or who never makes a mistake, because that's impossible. It's just not possible for you to never, ever make a mistake. The goal is to become somebody who knows what to do after they make that mistake. That's the goal. I want to become somebody who says, okay, all right, I understand I made a mistake. I'm going to own it without becoming it. That's the first thing I'm doing. I'm going to own that thing. I'm going to own it, but I'm not going to become it. I'm going to repair it without living in it. In other words, I am going to fix this, but this is not going to make a fix on me. And then number 3, what I'm going to do, I'm going to learn from it, but I'm not going to worship it. I'm not going to sit around and keep ruminating in and everything. And then number 4, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pay the cost that needs to be paid, and then I'm going to stop serving the sentence. I'm going to close the case and I am going to move on. A mistake should cost you a lesson, not your identity, not your confidence, and not the rest of your life. I hope that has helped you on today. Listen, we're going to go through this and we're going to get this right. Stop making them pay. Today, we talked about the sentence. Stop serving time for a mistake you've already made and start moving forward. Would you do me a big favor? Would you share this with somebody? I would love for you to do that, and I would appreciate it if you would do that. But do that for me. Share this with somebody so that we can help others. Listen, this is Coach David. It's been a pleasure for me to be with you on today, and it's also been a pleasure for me to share this with you on today. But remember this right here. You are the architect of your life. I'm Coach David. I believe in you. I'll see you next time. Bye.